So there was a nice question during the break. Do you wanna share it?
Yeah. It's been answered, so I'm a wee bit delirious at the minute because it's given me so much hope. But the question was, and I really was a bit frustrated when I was asking because I was desperate for an answer, but it was along the lines of when you have deep-rooted beliefs about your partner, about yourself or whatever, and you know that that's what it is, you know it's your deep-rooted beliefs, how do you get rid of it? And the example I used was when Gabriella said about the mouse, and I said, like, you know it's the mouse, you know what you're thinking about the mouse, and you know where it comes from and everything else, but when you're in that moment with the mouse, it's real, you know, and how do you get rid of that? Like, same with your insecurities, your doubts, your beliefs in relationships, that you know it's just your thinking, how do you get rid of those? And that was the question.
And what gave you hope?
Just, Gabriella said that just knowing that any minute you began to tell a story about the children wanting to go and see the movie about the mice, and in that moment you had an insight, and I didn't even know what the insight was, but somebody called you and you kind of said, just knowing that you can have an insight at any moment that can change that, and that was it, because you can, yeah, anything that you're stuck with at any moment, it can go. So just knowing that's just good me, it's just brilliant. It's perfect.
There is a capacity in each one of us because we are connected to this lightheartedness. And there's more, these are like some of the words that we're using right now for the context of this talk, but what I would say is that inside of us, all of us, there is an infinite source of wisdom and intelligence that goes beyond the intellect. So we can't help but to have insight. And I'll tell you, the kind of insight that we can have can transform you as a human being. And you can have insight when you least expect it, because you can't help it. I want to tell the story. It's a little dramatic, but for me, it was just such an example of the power of this intelligence that we're connected to. So, my father was murdered when I was 9 years old. And for a long time, we didn't know who had murdered him. Now, to be fair, I have to tell you that somehow there was peace in me about it. You know, like, I just thought, well, even if I were to find out who murdered him, it wouldn't really change anything. And I was only like I was like 11 when that happened, right? Which, if you think about it, it was quite something for an 11-year-old to think that, right? So that was really great. It was wonderful, actually. So even little children can have powerful ideas, even if they're in very difficult circumstances. So that's hopeful. I think as a parent, it would be reassuring that even if you were not around your children and your children were in a very complex situation, that they have what it takes to make it through. And we see that all the time. So, you know, life goes on, and I really was like, okay, no, now I need to find out who murdered him. I was like 23, so I go down to Mexico and I start asking around, and everyone in my family has a different story. So I'm like, So my family has the habit of holding the truth to protect the innocent. Okay? So I was like, so how did this happen? You know, so everybody came up with a different story. Now there was something that I saw in that moment. There was another insight. And the insight was, you know, talking about this for my family is so painful that I just don't know that it's worth it. So I kind of let that go again. Now that's really hopeful, right? Again, because it's kind of like a heavy-duty topic. So anyway, time goes by, whatever. And just sort of by accident, I find out who killed my father. happens in me is I have this tremendous sense of compassion and love for my father and for the person that killed him. I just saw, wow, this person must have been under such deep, intense feeling that this is what they did. It was shocking to me that I felt love and compassion for the person that killed my father. So after that, I just was like, whoa, I can actually have insight about anything in ways that I cannot even imagine, that can bring me a deep sense of peace. And so that's true about something like that. It's true about mice. It's true about shoes that are left in the living room, right? It's true about everything. There is nothing in your life that can permanently injure you. Not even your deepest fears and not even your belief systems. There's something more powerful. That's what you fall in love, right? Because you look at the other person and you're like, oh my God, there's just like this ball of wisdom, and look how cute you are. So that's why it's so helpful to know there are certain facts to be known, like Will, what he said about wrestling and wanting to be right. That was true. That was really true. And he actually used to say that a lot. Don't wrestle with a pig in mud because the pig likes it or whatever, right? And I don't know when it fell off of him. I just don't know when that happened. And I was just saying earlier in the day, I said, I never used to apologize. Never. And now I'm like, I'm so sorry I did that. So what happens is there's an intelligence in us that give us little bubbles of wisdom that allow us to experience life with freedom and joy. And that's your birthright. That's your default setting. And you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I really like that, and what I wanted to add is that, and this may or may not be true for you, but when Gabriella and I were teaching during the day, and someone asked, I'd like to have that insight, I'd like to know about that. And you know what, if that was on the cards, I think we would too. But what I found is that so many of us, and I'm talking about me, would really try and fix my thinking, or try and get an insight about how life works in that particular area. And the more that I did that, guess how much progress I made? Right? Nothing. And so sometimes, like I see this in myself, and I'll often tell other people that, like we say, there's nothing you need to do. And it feels so alien for us. Like, yeah, but this is really important, I really want to fix this. And what I find more often than not is people have never tried not doing anything about it. Because we're so caught up trying to fix that or change it, we don't realize that we can, take your foot off the accelerator.
It's the same as letting go.
Right. And so that doesn't mean that you will necessarily get an insight about whatever you want to get an insight about. But I do find that, for me, I go back to that lightheartedness, that ease. And when I'm in that lightheartedness and ease, things change.
I think for me, hearing what I hear today is allowing me to get back into that, because I know now I don't have to do anything. I know I don't have to look for an insight. I trust that is going to come, whenever, whatever, doesn't even matter. But I can let it go now. And like, I know insights come, I know that, but I don't know, I've just obviously heard that in relation to the subject, you know, so.
I mean, you can let it go. The reason why that makes sense, because before when I heard that, I was like, okay, but when am I going to let it go too, right? Like, because I don't have anything to back me up.
Yeah. It's like giving up, you didn't want to
Yeah,
give
because
up.
I don't know, you know, I don't know about this. Well, what happens is when you have the intelligence of the universe to back you up, like that's good enough, right? Your body naturally has a system that heals itself, right? So if you cut yourself, right, you kind of just let it be and, you know, it heals. You can feel discomfort. It's not going to break you. You're just going to feel a little uncomfortable for a bit. And then what you'll notice is actually you'll shift out of it, even if you don't want to. Right, like maybe for those of us that have experienced divorce, right, like you get divorced and you're like, oh no, it's so horrible and it feels like you're breaking, right, and then all of a sudden you get distracted with something. Like, oh, look at those shoes. Oh, wait, I was in pain. You have no option but to, because it's default, right, you're gonna kick in.
I have one comment, going back to what you were talking about murders. You know, your partner murdering you.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realize is that, yeah, there's a good chance that whoever's going to kill you is your partner. A lot of people don't realize that also, besides that we don't hear about is there's a lot of suicides, more so than homicide, as a result of relationship failures. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's quite a few of those also.
Which is, the point of that is, this is the great point about this, is that most of us feel that our happiness and contentment comes from the other person. You know, like halves, the better halves, the other orange or whatever, you know, the thing. And if you look back in your life, you'll discover that you were born with a capacity for joy, even before you met your partner. You were born with a capacity for happiness, even before you met your partner. You were born with a capacity of feeling intensely satisfied with life, just by looking at a sunset. So you're starting in the wrong platform if you think your partner is here to complete you. So if you think your partner is here to complete you, and then for whatever reason your partner leaves, right? And you think they are the reason why I'm so happy, and they're leaving, right? They are the reason as to why I can enjoy life, and they're leaving. If that's what you believe, you can see how you would fall into despair. So is it important for you to know, you were born whole and complete. They're not here to complete you. You're just going to enjoy the living heck out of them. Just because.
And I've said this many times before, but I'll say it again, that, what we're talking about, the stuff that both Gabby and I have been trained in, and I think you know a little bit about as well, is what's remarkable to me is the people that have been teaching this for decades. Some people think, well, if you don't think that your partner is the source of your happiness, why would you end up with them? Or why would you stay with them? And I found so interesting that the opposite is true. I mean, down to a T, every single person I've met who's been teaching this for decades and decades has the most unheard of relationship with their partner. I mean, Dick and Bettinger, who I think we both know, when I met him and he was there with his wife Poisey, and the way they were looking at each other after being married for decades was like teenagers looking at each other. And when he said, I still love her, like, it wasn't just like, yeah, I love her, she's a pain in the ass, but I still love her. It was like, he really meant it. And I was like, that's a little bit unusual. I don't see that very often. And then I'd meet someone else who was sharing, like, you know, you pick any of the teachers that share this, and it was the same. It was the same. And Gabby was talking about her relationship to Will earlier today, and she was saying it's incredible. You know, and it's unusual. We hear all of these things nowadays, you know, like, oh, the first 2 years of the honeymoon period, and then you get the 7-year itch and whatever. And again, you were sharing this today that that's not true for you. And for me, just because it seems to be true for a lot of people, I just thought that was fact. But what I see is too many examples of people who that isn't true for. And again, that for me, again, it's very hopeful to see that it is possible. It is possible to not see that your happiness comes from someone else and have an incredible relationship over decades. And in fact, so many people that I've interviewed for my podcast have said, in fact, I'm more in love with my partner now than I was before.
When you realize your wholeness, you just want to love your partner. You know, there's nothing to lose. You're not frightened. You know, so you're just like, come here, munchkin, right? Like, let me give it to you, right? There's just like this freedom for joy to come to the table. And just an appreciation of the person that you're with. And of you. Like, damn it, how can I feel so much love? Right? Like, you know, I should have like this big buddy because I have like all this love inside of me. And there's more where that came from. So it just kind of gives you the freedom to give.
It's funny, isn't it? Because the way society sells relationships and love, it's really not helpful. Because when you think about it, neediness, and that's what you're talking about. When you say, oh, you completely are, you know, it's neediness. And neediness is really the ultimate relationship repellent. Because there's no connection with the other person. It's kind of, I want from you.
It's one way.
And you know, when you were talking about love, all I could see was, well, kind of that's what's there when you're not doing anything else. And it's flowing through you when you're not filtering it with need or condition. And I think it allows relationships to change, to grow, because what Kush was saying about the honeymoon period, I think there is in any relationship there's a kind of honeymoon period. But if you believe that that's the peak, then there's a real problem. Because it can get deeper. And as people grow, their relationship can grow with that. And I think what a lot of people do is that they start off saying, well, my wife is Jane. I know Jane. And as soon as I say I know Jane, I'm killing that relationship. Because I'll never know Jane, and she'll never really know me. We've got only known aspect. And as we grow situationally, that can become so much stronger. Neediness. The ultimate repellent. They should make an aftershave.
Is it like you're bombarded with that notion from a young age, and you know, it's almost ingrained in you until you're told otherwise, and start, you know, it's got to start thinking that's not you. Yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah, I think the generation there has been, it's a notion that's bombarded into you through, you know, love and books and music, and it's only when you realise that that's not the way it should be that you have the insight.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it shouldn't be surprising to us as well that what we think or what society tells us is the way for us to be happy doesn't work. Like, because you just need to look at the results, right? You know, and not just in a relationship. We look at relationships, and most relationships aren't working out, yet we've got more information than we ever needed, right? We've got more information than any other time in history about what denotes for a successful relationship. We're more educated than we've ever been before. but we're not having successful relationships. And also, you know, one thing that, again, I've shared before, but if everything that would make us happy and fulfilled was true, if everything that we are taught or told was true, then celebrities would be the epitome of mental health. And yet, if that's not true, right? You know, that's very, very obvious to us when we see that. Yet they've got money, they've got fame, they've got beautiful partners. They've got a lot of things that we think would make us happy or make us fulfilled. And that's, again, just a very, very simple example of it not working. And so, you know, we're not asking you to believe something or like, okay, this is another model or something like that. And certainly, you know, what I say to people is, look for yourself. If what you believe is true, or if what society is true, says is true, then where's the evidence for that? And when I did that myself, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, how did I not notice that before? And yet so many of us just carry on down that road, like, oh no, that's what I need to do, that's what I need to do, that's what I need to do. But if you start to really unpick that, you start to see what is really true for you, not what Gabby and I tell you, not what anyone else tells you, but for you. And that's when, you know, you can have incredible relationships. That's when this lightheartedness starts to appear. That's where it just starts to be, you know, we use the word wisdom, but it's just common sense.
You know, what's occurring to me right now is that my whole marriage and relationship with Will, we've been playing it by ear. And we're doing pillow talk last night, you know, we were just kind of saying that. We just have played it by ear. And it's starting out good.
So far.
So far. It could go back.
There's more shoes coming.
More shoes to come.
So cool.
So I think we're just going to like finish it there. So
I
always on.
I've prepared a special gift for you for this occasion, for a man on this occasion. Can I share it?
Okay. I'm a bit concerned.
Okay, can you talk
Something
about
I wish somebody told me when I was married to my wife. No, I cannot use that. I have to use Gabriella for this.
Oh, Jesus.
This is something that when I say the word, Ankush will know about. And that is, it was something that I was told was only for women when they were hostile, when they had PMS. But it works for everybody. For my mother, for my grandmother, for something. Can we stop?
Jesus.
And that is, originally when women are hostile,
Uh-huh.
PMS, my ex-wife, I could hear her. I was sitting in my chair like this, reading, and I heard her steps. And I was just going like this. Oh my God. And she came in, and like this. And I was thinking, no! This is wrong, you idiot, and this, that. And I was arguing back. Was that appropriate? No. What I should have done was like this. Listened, and then give her an OPV.
Uh-oh.
That is, you know what it is?
No.
Oh, poor baby. Without words. I'm telling this, I'm just doing this. But in my mind, I'm telling, oh, poor baby, I understand you. I understand that you hurt more than me. I'm so in love with you. And you just look her in the eye and smile. And just sit right back again. What will happen is that when she is over that period, or she is coming back, I will get tons of compassion and everything back. And the fact is, that happens to my mother. When she's like, after this, I just go like, Mom. And suddenly, oh, it's not so bad after all. That fast.
OPB.
And this guy should have a Nobel Peace Prize that told me
That's
this.
the other thing you need to know here. OPB.
Well, thank you very much for turning up tonight. We've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Apologies, it's been so warm in here. But I think we're going to hang around just for a few minutes. So if there was anything you were dying to ask and didn't get a chance, then we'll still be around for a couple of minutes. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the